I'm going to ask you a little bit still, just in regards to your school experience before I kind of get to your professional experience. Now, before we go there, like, did you kind of go straight through and then start professionally, or did you kind of graduate and then start working, go back, and how did that go about?
So a little bit of both. So going from my undergraduate degree at TSU, or TTTSSSU, I went to UIC, University of Illinois, Chicago. So that was straight through. So I was in a program at TSU called the MARC program, or Minority Access to Research Careers. And what that allowed me to do was get research experience, but it was contingent on the idea that I would go to get a PhD. And so when I finished the program, I decided to look for schools that would allow me to get a PhD in chemistry, but also explore forensic science. At that time, I was really interested in forensic science and potentially becoming like a toxicologist. And so there's only a few countries or few universities in the country that offer any advanced degree courses in forensic science. And so University of Illinois was one of those schools that, one, had the forensic courses, two, was paying me the most, and three, allowed me to do research that I was passionate about. So at that time, my grandfather had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and my mom was dealing with diabetes. And so I actually found a research advisor that had some research going on in both those areas. And so I ultimately chose UIC for, like I said, the multitude of reasons. They were paying me the most. They had research I cared about and was passionate about, and I can take the forensic science courses outside of it. So I went straight through there. So I did 4 years at TSU and then 5.5 years at UIC. And so traditionally, people may get like a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and then a PhD. So you're looking at like 4 years, 2 years, and then, I don't know, 4 to 5, maybe 6 years, depending on. So I skipped that middle step. And so I did 4 years for TSU and then 5.5 years to get my PhD, and then started teaching immediately after. And so my initial set of schooling was straight through, like, bachelor's, PhD, and then let me go get my big girl job. But in the interim, as I have ultimately realized some of the things that I was more passionate about beyond working in the laboratory, I then decided to go back to school. And so in 2018, I decided to go back to Georgetown for an executive certificate in leadership coaching. This happened after I had already pivoted out of working in the lab and I was working in a management position. And then 2019, when the pandemic hit, end of 2019, I finished at Georgetown. Then 2020, when the pandemic hit, I decided to go back to school at Cornell for a certificate in diversity and inclusion. And then just recently, I actually just completed a certificate at University of South Florida in another diversity, inclusion, and equity in the workplace certificate. So I consider myself a forever learner. And so I'm gonna always go back to school, especially if someone else is paying for it.
I could definitely understand that. That sounds like a great program that you were in. What was that called again? The MARC, what?
So MARC, so it's Minority Access to Research Careers. And so what that, is a phenomenal program that a lot of schools, the cool thing about it, that it will pay your tuition. So after at most schools, I believe you're eligible after your sophomore year. And then from your sophomore year through your senior year, you can get your tuition paid for. Then on top of that, you also get a stipend monthly to do research at the school. And so that's where I started working with Dr. Vercruci, who I mentioned was a pivotal mentor in my life. And then on top of that, they also require you to do an internship during the summer. So now as a college student, I was earning money during my summer internship and then earning money monthly just to do research at the school. And so it's a great way to, one, supplement your income, but two, get your tuition paid, and then they are looking for you. They're basically poising you to go get a PhD. So the design of the program is really for pushing more people that are from underrepresented communities. So when I say underrepresented, I mean Black, brown people, women, those that are in marginalized communities, and getting them into sectors that they are not traditionally represented. So science, technology, engineering, math, there's not a lot of people that look like me. And so there are always opportunities out there for people to provide funding for you to pursue these. And so the MARC program, or like I said, the Minority Access to Research Career Fellowship I wouldn't be where I'm at if it were not for that, that program.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that's going around. It's still currently ongoing program.
As far as I know, it is still ongoing. Again, I'm not sure. I'm fairly confident it's still at TSU and it's at multiple institutions. And so it's I believe NSF, or National Science Foundation funded program. I have to fact check that in a little bit, but I'm fairly confident that it is still around and it is a funded program. But even if not, for people that are from marginalized communities, there's just a lot of resources out there to help you get there. We are trying to move the needle on the representation of Black people specifically, especially in the last year and a half, of getting just more of us into the pipeline. So even if MARC is not still available, there are a ton of different opportunities that are still out there.